Hey, everybody. Nice to be with you. My name is Julie Tooten. I'm a certified facilitator of Access Consciousness and also a Talk to the Entities facilitator. And so today we're doing a little taste of what's possible with entities and money. How many of you guys have experience having entities around? And good. And would like them to bring you money. How many of you are aware of entities and are like, no, I don't want to know about that? Oh, nobody. Oh, maybe.
I used to be that way until Access.
Yeah. So it's interesting, your point of view about entities sort of shapes how it shows up for you. And so fortunately, we have the tools in Access Consciousness to help change the points of view that we have that aren't really working, that aren't serving us. And we can open up to so many more possibilities. It looks like there is a question. Somebody's got their hand raised. So I'll get to that in a second. But I just want to invite anybody who's watching this or listening to this later that has not heard of Access Consciousness or the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. I may be using that in this next 30 minutes. You can go to theclearingstatement.com and it explains all about it, but it's something that allows you to clear out all the points of view that keep you from having ease and lots of other possibilities showing up, even with regard to entities or ghosts. So was there a question? Veronica, did you have a question? Anybody else want to
No
start?
question.
Okay. You just wanted to raise your hand and say hi. All right, cool. So I found Access many, many years ago. It was 2003. And at that point, the creator of Talk to the Entities, Shannon O'Hara, was a teenager. And I thought she was really cool. And I thought what she was capable of was really cool. And I was always interested in it. And she started teaching just little intro classes on Talk to the Entities. And I took them. And then probably, I don't know, within the first couple of years of using these tools, I was traveling to Philadelphia for a trade show. I'm also a jeweler, and so I would bring my jewelry to these trade shows and stay in hotels and set up my wares and do the show. Well, this one year, after I had taken some of her basic classes, I got into this hotel room and it was so filled with ghosts that it was like foggy. It looked like smoke in the room. I was like, okay, I'm going to use my tools that I learned to clear and clear and clear. And a lot of it cleared, but there was still a whole bunch there. And I remember I called my husband at the time and I was like, I don't know what else to do. Like, they're not leaving. Should I change rooms? This just doesn't feel right. And he's like, oh yeah, she also said, what if you could give them a job? And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I'll give them a job. So I talked to them sort of like you talk to your children or your students. And I was just like, hey, y'all, how about this? You go out to all the buyers who are going to be coming to the show and put the thought in their head about placing an order with me. And my company was called Arcadian Design. So I just said, put the thought in their head, I need to place an order with Arcadian Design. I need to place an order with Arcadian Design. And I said it over and over and over. And then they left. And I was like, oh, cool. That worked, I guess. And so I went to sleep, got up the next day. And when I opened up my booth at 9 a.m. and the doors opened, people were streaming in. And usually, like, it's a big hall. There's hundreds of artists showing their products. And usually it takes a while for people to filter through the aisles and to find what they're looking for. Well, I had a steady stream of people from the moment the doors opened. And they would just come up and they go, is this Arcadian Design? I need to place an order. Is this Arcadian Design? Oh, good. Arcadian Design. I need to place an order. It was so crazy and so funny. And like the day just went by. I wrote order after order after order. And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I got to the point where I was like, I need a break. You know, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to get some lunch. And I was like, really? Like, can't I have a break? And then I closed up my booth and people stopped walking over and I took lunch and I came back and nobody came back anymore because I had stopped it. But I wrote thousands of dollars worth of orders in that first, I don't know, five or 6 hours of the show. And it was all from communicating with and cooperating with the entities. Now, in Shannon's classes that she's created this program, Talk to the Entities, of which I am now a facilitator. There's this beginning class where you learn how to clear and communicate with entities so that you can, you know, have more ease in your life. And there are times when an entity wants to be cleared or they want to communicate something to you, and you don't have to do it for free. You can actually ask to get paid for it. How many of you have ease asking to get paid for things? So we might need to do a little bit of clearing on that first. Because entities won't be able to bring you money any easier than people, entities with bodies, if you're not willing to receive money or to ask to get paid for things. So let's do a clearing on that. Anywhere you have resistance or dis-ease with receiving money, with asking for money from anyone or anything, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. There's a lot of energy on that. You may have to do that several times. And you can do it on your own as well. You can just say all the points of view I have about receiving money or asking for money. I destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Because if you're not willing to have that, if that's a sticky area for you, it's going to be difficult for anybody to give you money or for you to charge for things. So just because a being doesn't have a body doesn't mean they can magically get through your points of view. So everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Now, the other thing is I didn't set out to gather these entities to help me at that show make more sales. It was just something that they were there and I was like, now what do I do? They're not leaving. So it's really about being present and asking questions with whoever's in front of you, whether it's an entity without a body or an entity with a body. and asking for what it is that you'd like. I wanted to have lots of orders written at that show. And so I asked for help with that. So what are you asking for, or what are you not asking for that's giving you exactly what's showing up in your life? And welcome to the people signing on now. We're just talking about the willingness to receive from entities or from people. Either way. When we don't have any points of view in the way, then it's just easier. Does anybody have questions so far? Everybody's so quiet. Okay, no questions.
I have a
Is there
question.
anything? Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I have a question.
Awesome.
Can you just open up a little bit more about entities?
Sure. What would you like to know?
Who are they? Where are they? What are they?
Okay, cool. Thank you. So entities are beings that, well, they don't have a body any longer, but they're stuck in an identity. So sometimes you'll find them, like if there was a car accident or something on the side of the road, they're still there looking for their car because they don't know necessarily that their body has died. So entities are, they take this whole different range from smart to not very bright to mean to kind. They're like people. There's the whole range. And when they lose their body or leave their body and they're stuck in that identity, we can communicate with them to get them present to the fact that they no longer have a body, so that then they have choice to move on and become something else. And so in the intro that I'm going to be doing in New York or New Jersey, somewhere over there, in the intro and the new beginning class, we teach you all the tools of how to clear entities. It's a pretty simple process. You clear, and then there are some that don't just want to be cleared. Some want to communicate in some way. And then the advanced Talk to the Entities class is more about receiving from entities, not just people entities, but also beings of light and earth spirits and excuse me, all kinds of spirits. There can be people around you all the time. There can be family. There can be, you name it. There's entities everywhere. Ever see like a little something out of the corner of your eye? And you turn and you look and there's nothing there. It's usually an entity. Or if you cough or sneeze for no reason, like I just did, it's usually an entity trying to get your attention. My
Can
point
I
of
ask a
view-
question about
Yes.
that? So the entities that we are asking for money are this, I mean, I've taken the class, so I have awareness, but I'm also having awareness on that people might not maybe know exactly what entities we are speaking to. Are there any specific entities, or do we just speak to the air and ask entities who are aware of us to bring us money?
Well, I suppose you can play with it.
Mm.
I don't generally speak to the air. I speak to them when they're there. I'll tell you another story. Maybe this will give you a little bit more illumination of what's possible. And a lot of these things, you may feel like you're making it up, but it's really your awareness and your knowing, and you're never making it up. You're not crazy. It is actually happening. So last year I met somebody online, was doing a little online dating, and I connected with somebody who had said in his profile something about meditation and this and that. And so we talked on the phone, and he had explained that his father had died 10 years before, and he had started doing meditation because he had so much anxiety and whatever. So I knew that his father had died, but I didn't know the guy. I didn't know anything else about him, really. We chatted about all kinds of stuff, and we agreed to meet for coffee the next day. When I got up in the morning, I had this really weird pain in my neck and shoulder. And I know from experience that sometimes pain in the neck and shoulders is awareness of entities. Everybody has different awarenesses, and they can get your attention in different ways. But that morning, it happened to be like that. And I was like, well, who are you? And, I tried to clear it, didn't work. And as I was driving to meet the guy in the car, it got really intense. And so I started asking questions, and I got the sense that it was the guy's father wanting to communicate something to the guy. And I said, okay, I'll do it, but you have to pay me. And that's all I said. The pain went away. I met the guy, and we're getting coffee, and he was all kind of, slumped and kind of contracted and a little depressed. And I was like, wow, like nothing like the photos on his profile. And so he's chit-chatting about the weather and bullshit stuff. And I finally was like, okay, dude, I have to tell you something, and you're going to think it's weird, but I'm going to try. I think your father has come to me to give you a message. And he's like, oh, really? That's cool. Like, he was open to it. And so I told him the message, and it was like this shell, this exterior shell that he had encapsulated himself in, broke apart. And he was so happy and so grateful to have this weight off of his shoulders. And he asked me a bunch of questions about access consciousness. And I talked to him about expanding and, being more, expanding your being. And he was like, it was like the dawning of a new day. He was so grateful and so relieved and so happy. And then I had to go to work, and I'm like, bye. It was an interesting coffee date. See ya. And so I opened my boutique and got everything ready like I normally do. And literally 10 minutes later, this lady walked in who I'd never seen before, and went right to my back case, pointed at this antique ring, tried it on. She's like, oh, I like it. I like it. And her husband came in, and she said, will you buy it for me? And he paid for it. And it was like, I don't know, $2,500, something like that. And then they left. And that was the only customer I had. And I was like, oh, thank you. He paid me. And the guy later on texted me how he was so grateful. He got his smile back, and he thought he was in love with me. I was like, no, you're misidentifying it. This is just you having more of you. And yeah, he went on and found somebody that he is happily dating right now. And so this is some of the gift that you can be in being willing to, number one, open to the possibility of the spirits. Number two, communicate with them. Number three, ask them to pay you for what you're doing. And number 4, not have a point of view about it. It's not significant. It's not significant. When we make it significant, we stick ourselves. Does that help?
Yeah, Julie, there's someone's asking a question on
Yeah.
it's Veronica. She's saying, she wrote, looking to have a better relationship with entities. I've had unfortunate experience.
Yeah. Well, have you taken any of the Talk to the Entities classes? That would be something that I would highly recommend.
Hi,
Veronica,
no, I haven't at this time. But I recently was at the 3-day body class, and I'm interested in it from speaking with somebody else. And so that's in my future, but is there any tip for now that I could use?
Well, yeah. No other being is greater than you, number 1. So don't make them greater. Just because they don't have a body doesn't mean that they're smarter, more powerful, or anything. So Shannon likes to use the example of like, would you let strangers into your house and leave the doors unlocked? Or would you say, get out? So you can, for now, you can just say, get out, go. You can tell them what to do. They may keep coming back because you have an ability. Everybody has an ability, some more than others. So you can't turn that off. And so they will come to you because you have an ability. And when you're ready, you can, take the classes and learn how to deal with it. It makes your life a whole lot easier.
Okay, great.
Lot easier. Yeah.
Thank you.
And there's an intro, it's $75. So, that'll give you a lot of information. And then there's a 2-day class. Did somebody else have something?
There is a comment that says, Julie, can you please repeat number 2 of the 4 points to connect with entities?
I don't remember. What did I say? What did I say? I have no idea. You'll have the recording. Anything else? So,
Sorry, how do you know if they in your apartment, in your house? What are the signs, or should I just do the clearance anyway?
well, you can ask, are there, is this an entity or are there entities here? Our body will give us information, and we have to learn the awarenesses that our body gives us for things like this. And, certain things like, the raised hair on your arms and back of your neck, or feeling creepy is also sometimes a sensation that there's entities there, but sometimes they're not creepy. Sometimes, it's a loved one, it's somebody who passed away from your family or somebody else's family, and they're not creepy. They're there. And so you will have different sensations. So where do you start? You start by saying, is this an entity? Yes or no? And start learning the way you sense it. And then if it's an entity, would they like to be cleared? Yes or no? Or would they like communication? So you go through the steps, asking questions and finding your way like that.
Yeah, I guess that was my question too, that how do you know if it's your angels and your guardian angels And how do you know the difference?
Well, you have to strengthen your knowing because you know. But in the beginning, we all doubt what we know. So how can you strengthen your awareness about what you know?
by asking.
Yep, and just go with it, even if it seems crazy. There was this one time when I first took the beginning class with her. It wasn't even the way it is now. It was just like a little intro class. And I went out to dinner with my husband, and we parked in some weird place downtown and walked around the corner. And as soon as I walked around the corner, I felt like this stabbing sensation in my gut. And I was like, oh, what's that? Just a cramp. I don't know. I didn't know anything. Walking to the restaurant, getting cocktail, it got worse and worse and worse. I was doubled over in pain, and I was like, I don't know what this is. Eventually we went home, and I think I called Shannon because I don't know. I was just asking a bunch of questions, and she's like, is it an entity? Oh, wow. I never even thought of that. Come to find out, there was somebody stabbed on that corner the week before. And it wasn't that I was getting stabbed. It was my body had the awareness of what happened to that person. And I made it super significant. So I was in all this pain, and she's like, stop it. Stop making it significant. It's just information. Oh, okay. And after that, I didn't make things significant because that was too painful. And I just became more in the question. Okay, what do they want? Maybe they just wanted me to know that they were stabbed there. I don't know. I never did anything with it. It went away. The thing is, when you acknowledge your awareness, it lightens up. So if it feels intense for a little bit, once you get to what it is and you acknowledge, oh, it's an entity. Okay, it'll lighten up. And you can also ask them to slow down or to back up and give you more space. You can work with them. They're happy to work with you.
What about inviting your loved one to come talk to you?
Yeah, that's a bit more advanced. That's more of the receiving. And we do some of those exercises in the 2-day workshop. It's quite amazing. And like you have no idea what you open up to when we put our barriers down and are willing to be embraced and to embrace the spirit world. It is so incredibly amazing and peaceful, and your receiving in all areas of life increases. So that includes more money, just simply by being willing to be open to the spirit world. So I invite you all to check it out, whether it's an intro or whether it's a workshop. If you're curious, there's something there for you.
Julie, can you talk about what do you mean by intro or workshop?
Yes, thank you. The intro is 90-minute Zoom where, gosh, it goes wherever people's questions go. And there's definitely certain content that we cover. It can be done in person or online. And the next one I have coming up is October 1st, and it's $75. And then the workshop is 2 days. So it's going to be October 2nd and 3rd. And there's a manual that you'll get that has an amazing flow chart so that when you have entities in your space and you don't know what questions to ask there, it's all lined out. It's quite amazing how it works. And it just helps you navigate what's going on and move through clearing, communicating, and the beginnings of receiving from entities. And I wonder what other capacities will open up as you explore this one. Oh, and the workshop is 1,300, I believe. And there is country pricing. So people in other countries, according to their
And the dates are October 2nd, 3rd?
yeah, October 2nd and 3rd is the workshop. You must do the intro if you're coming to the workshop. And all I can say is that it's going to be a lot of fun. These classes are not scary. They're fun, they're empowering, and this awareness that you will grow and expand can be used for everything that you do. Other questions? I wonder how much ease you all can have with this. I think this area is really cool, really fun to explore, not scary at all. So I hope you come and play with me.
Well, can we clear that if anyone's scared about that and they're not willing to receive the great tools of Talk to Entities?
No, they have to keep it. Yes. Anybody who's willing to let go of their fear, however much fear you've got that you're willing to let go of, let's destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And everything that you bought about entities from the movies and the creepiness of it, will you destroy and uncreate that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
What about talking to trees? I talk to trees a lot, and
Yeah,
I mean, plants, animals. I don't think of them as entities. I just think of them, as conscious.
right. Consciousness. Yep. It's the same thing. It's just using, like, building your awareness with one thing, and then you use it over here as well. Yeah.
And then there's a question of getting in touch with that sister of my Afghan daughters, whom I haven't met, but who
Mhm.
died after her struggle with leukemia. And I was just wondering, since I haven't mentioned it to them, whether it's something that would be something I should do or could do and get a message for them.
Well, you could. There's in the flow chart, there's one of the questions is if they're not here for you and if they are here for someone else, is that person willing to receive the information? And that's another place where you need to use your awareness. Are they willing to receive the information? Yes or no? And if they're not, can the entity get them to be interested in receiving it? So all of it is question, all of it is awareness. And you just have to go with what you know.
But I think you said that when you get an answer, if you feel light, then you feel like it's the right answer. Is that right? And if you feel heavy, it isn't?
Well,
Because-
light is
well, how
true
would you
and
know?
heavy is not true. But
Uh-huh,
it's still not necessarily an answer.
uh-huh.
It's an awareness. And awareness is not solid. It changes all the time. Oops, like the wind that just blew over my painting. Awareness is awareness and it changes all the time. Just like, you know, maybe you're like, oh, I want to do this class. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. And you change all the time. There is no answer. And that's why you can sign up at the last minute.
I ask my body, what is yes? And I fall backwards. What is no? I fall forwards. That's how I get my answers.
Yeah, I have it the other way. Forward is yes.
Yeah, people, it's all different for lots of people.
Mhm. Yeah.
So is that legitimate in asking questions of the entities?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Yep. Your awareness is your awareness, and you will know the way you know. And what else is possible? Any other questions? I'm going to keep this kind of short. Is there something in the chat? No.
So what can people, Julius, what can people expect to experience in this 2-day class?
You know, I don't know how to put that into words. What have you experienced?
Oh my goodness, me? So I took the first class by myself, and I used to be very afraid of entities. I had a lot of points of view, and a lot of that got cleared, and I had so much space and ease, and it was incredibly beautiful and relaxing for me finally. And I realized that entities were there to contribute to me. I didn't know that. You know what? From watching all the Hollywood movies, I thought they were just scary and gory and creepy and bad. But the entity world that I discovered because of Access and Shannon's work and other talk to entity facilitators work was, wow, there's this like untapped possibility that most of us are not aware. And then it started from there, and it was just developing, expanding more and more and more, which I'm so grateful for. And then the following year, I took the Talk to the Entities class again. I actually hosted it in my house, and my husband took it as well as me. And my husband's dad passed away 1 month prior to the class. So we're sitting there taking the class together, and you know, my husband is a guy, I don't know, straight guy. He would not show the vulnerability and the sadness that he was still holding on to after his father passed, right? And at one point in the class, first of all, it's not like I was like so aware around entities or anything like that, but the facilitator of my class guided me to sort of perceive the energy. And my husband's passed away father showed up energetically. And I was aware, not my husband. So I was able to communicate in a way that was really contributing to my husband and to my father-in-law as well. So that was like, whoa, it was like mind blowing for me because I've never experienced something like that. And also I considered myself to be someone who's very normal in this reality that
right.
thought that something like that would happen. So it's like my husband was like crying, I'm crying, we're just so moved. You know, we didn't have the closure to say goodbye to him. He sort of had an accident and then, you know, he passed away. So it's such a gift, you know what I
It
mean?
really is. You just have no idea what you're going to get. But it's like, you know, when you eat an amazing new food or meal for the first time, you don't know what it's going to taste like and what you're going to experience, but it is amazing, healthy gourmet. That's how I would say it. Cool.
I just realized how wonderful it would be to get in touch with my father.
Mm.
I had a very unusual experience after they had declared him dead. 3 hours later, I showed up and I put my hand, one on his forehead and one on his heart, which is what I'd heard Ramana Maharshi used to say to do. And I got some involuntary deep, deep breathing, like it was just taking me over, like it was somehow his breath. And I nearly fainted. Everything turned two-dimensional and black and white. And when we finally got me out into the fresh air, I asked all my spiritual teachers, what was that? What was that? And he said, you helped your father to leave. So he wasn't quite gone yet, even though he was declared dead.
Wow.
Something left, something is left there. It's an internal breath or something like that.
Interesting.
That was amazing.
Yeah. There's so many different possibilities, and there's so much that we know that we don't know that we know. And that's one of the beautiful gifts of Access Consciousness, is it allows you to begin to know what you do know and be empowered to trust that. Okay, everybody, this has been interesting and different. I hope it was illuminating. And I hope to see you sometime, somewhere, whether an intro or the workshop or a foundation or something somewhere in the world. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Where can we find the class? Is it in your Access Consciousness website or to the
Yes,
link?
it's on the Access Consciousness website. It's on my website, julietootenenergy.com. And I think we'll be posting it in public, social media, Facebook and stuff like that as well.
Don't you want to tell everybody about your workshop this weekend?
Oh, and I have a foundation this weekend. Actually, it starts tomorrow. So you got to get on it if you want to get in. That also has bars as a prereq. Would love to see you guys. Thanks.
And will you be posting the recording or sending out a recording? Perfect.
Will do.
If the bars was done many years before, is that enough of a prerequisite?
Yep.
I see.
Anytime. No excuses. Okay, thanks everyone.
Yeah.